stupid bitch interrupted my song. You know, that was just my opening number. I actually had a whole fucking set list planned. I should have fucking fed her tits. Well, lucky for you, I recorded myself practicing so you get to see some of the numbers I was going to do. Oh wait, Otis fucking hates this song. Never mind. Sheri Lynn Skirkus grew up in Connecticut. When she graduated high school, she went to broadcasting school briefly with aspirations of being a cartoon voiceover actress. She spent her time between California and the East Coast, and one time that she was in California, she was set up on a blind date with a mutual friend. The person she was going on a date with was Rob Zombie, the frontman for the band White Zombie. That was 1992, and the two have been together ever since. Shortly after that, Rob went solo and she did the choreography and costumes for his first tour. Rob decided to try his hand at filmmaking in the early 2000s, and since she'd been in many of his music videos, it was inevitable that he would cast Sheri as the lovable, psychotic baby Firefly in House of a Thousand Corpses. She said in a recent interview that they just decided one day, hey, it'd be fucking fun to make a movie. They'd made all these music videos. And this movie actually got shelved for 3 years. So this was not something that was a moneymaker or a big production. It was just something they did for fun. In that same interview, she mentioned that the first line she ever said on camera was this, Jim.
Yeah, we like to get fucked up and do fucked up shit.
Sheri and Rob got married in 2002, and she's been a staple in his music videos and films, including the Halloween franchise, The Lords of Salem, and of course, the Firefly trilogy. Despite the outlandish characters she plays on screen, Sheri's now 48. She's a vegan, works out 5 days a week, quit smoking in 2014, and enjoys doing crossword puzzles and reading in her spare time. Later this year, she'll reprise her role of Baby in 3 from Hell. Vera Ellen Firefly, known lovingly as Baby, lives with her family in a small Texas town. To know Baby, you have to meet her family. She lives with a bunch of them, including RJ, the brother with the tow truck, Otis, the charismatic cult leader, her mama, who's the flirty, fun matriarch, Tiny, who ain't so tiny but was badly burned by Papa Earl in a cleansing fire, and a pervy grandpa who seems to be missing in the Devil's Rejects. Well, much later we find out that Baby's daddy is none other than Captain Spaulding, proprietor of the Oddities Museum, gas station, and chicken joint visited by the 4 assholes earlier that night. And yes, if I'm going to show a picture of Captain Spaulding, it is going to be the one of him spanking me on my 42nd birthday. When we first meet Baby, she's hitchhiking a ride back home and she gets picked up by a quartet of horror enthusiasts looking for the Dr. Satan tree. Hey, lucky for them, the Dr. Satan tree's right by Baby's house. Unlucky for them, someone shoots their tire out. Lucky for them, her brother has a tow truck. Unlucky for them.
Whatever you need to do, you do it. There is no wrong. If someone needs to be killed, you kill them. That's the way.
But before she shows her murderous side, she's one hell of a hostess, putting on House of Frankenstein, making cocoa with lots of marshmallows and giving Rainn Wilson an enormous heart-on. The car isn't quite finished, but since it's Halloween Eve, the Fireflies are having a very super special celebration to which the horny boys, bitchy girls, and kidnapped cheerleaders are invited. So Baby's getting ready for the big celebration. She takes some time out to show the cheerleaders a thing or two. She is right about two things. B-A-B-Y spells baby. And these girls are gonna miss one hell of a show. The midnight bells ring, dinner's over, and it's showtime. The family showcases their vaudevillian talents such as comedy, lip syncing, and kabuki. The bitchy chick interrupts Baby's show, but that's okay because the car is fixed, so they tell them to get the fuck out before Baby cuts off her tits and shoves them down her throat. And now it's time for the Fireflies to have some fun with those wankers. But first, they need to stop by Red Hot Pussy Liquors to get stocked up for the evening. They take their shit back to the house, they get fucked up, and they do some fucked up shit. Like wearing the dad as a skin suit and dressing the girls up like rabbits and throwing them down a hole as sacrifices to Dr. Satan. Mary, the girl who always looks like she just smelled a fart, runs off somehow, and Baby has to run her down. She gets her good with her knife. Alright, so 7 months later, Dr. Satan must be appeased, and the family is enjoying a very quiet morning. Except for earlier, they made one big mistake. They killed a cop who was investigating their house. And the sheriff now is that guy's brother. Whoops. So their 75 murders and innumerable caged people finally catch up with them, and they have to enact the doomsday plan. Baby and Otis get away to the tune of the Allman Brothers' Midnight Rider. They find a payphone and they call Baby's dad, who reminds them their rendezvous spot is the Kahiki Palms Motel. They get there first, and they decide to have some fun with this folk band. When Priscilla Barnes signed on for the Three's Company reboot, she had no idea that her new roommates would be so sadistic. Captain Spaulding makes his way to the motel, and they dispatch most of the rest of the band. One of the members of the band accidentally dispatches herself. The three go on the run, but Baby wants ice cream first, so her daddy makes sure she gets some Tutti fucking Fruity on the way.
Tutti fucking fruity, that sounds good.
Tutti fucking fruity!
Shut up!
Tutti fucking fruity! Tutti fucking fruity!
Shut up!
Tutti fucking fruity!
Listen, there is no fucking ice cream in your fucking future.
Baby's less than trustworthy but hilarious uncle luckily owns an Old West-themed brothel where the three can hole up until things blow over. Speaking of blowing things, they have one hell of a party and Baby even gets a bubble bath before shit gets real. The sheriff escorts them home to enact some delightful vigilante justice against the trio. Baby finds out the fucker killed her mama while she was in custody and escapes at the first chance she gets. Benedict Charlie comes back to try to help, but he gets axed by the sheriff, and Baby is on the run from that sadistic motherfucker. Well, folks, it sure does seem like Baby's gotten herself into quite a pickle. Last we left Baby, she was sure in trouble, so it's a good thing Tiny shows up to save the day.
Fighting the system like a true modern-day Robin Hood.
The bloody trio take off down the highway, but they find a whole hell of a lot of Smokies pointing guns in their faces. In one of the most oddly poetic and beautiful sequences in film history, they each take a gun and decide silently to go out in a blaze of glory. Freebird was never the same after this. Of course, the three aren't dead because they have a movie coming out very soon that clearly shows them incarcerated for their crimes. But of course you wonder, how did they survive that Bonnie and Clyde Swiss cheese bullet attack? Once they get going, Captain gets hit, but the bullet goes through the windshield and he collapses but comes right back up. Otis is then hit in the shoulder. This one is questionable. That is a big hole in Baby's chest. But she does get back up. Captain gets it in the thoracic region. Again, somewhat questionable. Baby is still shooting and gets it in the arm again as Otis is flailing, but we don't see a wound. Baby gets a shot that makes her flop, but it's still a shoulder. So my theory is that there is a team of medics sitting right there waiting for them to finally give up so that they can perform emergency aid on them, because that hole in Baby's chest is gnarly. B-A-B-Y spells a not quite conventional, not quite final girl who is my hero. Baby, you go get fucked up and do fucked up shit. And you deserve your tutti fucking fruity ice cream. So, in the early 2000s, when I heard that Rob Zombie was going to make a fucking horror movie, and I was just like, this is it. I walked away a little disappointed. However, it is 16 years later, and I'm doing a video dressed up like one of the characters. And even now when I watch it, I kind of just tune out that last, like, Dr. Satan. The Dr. Satan thing's fine, but I like the family being the bad guys, and so it just kind of, I don't know, takes me out of it. I don't know. Which is probably why I like The Devil's Rejects so much. And this was my problem with Jeepers Creepers when it first came out. Really, really dug the Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe that it was giving, and I liked the idea that it was, I don't know, like a sinister house with a weird ass mofo or mofos. And when it ended up being a supernatural creeper, I was like, oh, now I like it. But I was a little bit let down at the time. And I think maybe that's where I was going with this one too. I will say that in doing research for this, and you probably already watched the video, so you know this, this was just a thing they were doing. It was not like, I'm gonna make this movie and put you in it. It was like, hey, we are already doing like music videos and shit. Let's just make a movie or something. Okay, not a big deal. And they filmed it. It was shelved for like 3 years or something. It was not going to be like some sort of big, big production. It was just like, we're just gonna do this because it's fun. Does her own makeup badly. This is just for Brad. I don't even know this shit. When I was in high school, the construction worker, I think, was replaced by a younger dude, and I saw them in concert. I actually threw my panties on stage at him. Yeah, it was ironic, but it was fun. I'm so sweaty. Now I'm gonna go like cool off before I record for real. Yes, there's some girl in Indiana who won't have a prom dress because of me.